Jeff?
Hey, great to have you on. Great to be here with you this morning.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can. There we go. I just had to turn up my audio. There we go. Okay. Do I need to flip my camera? We're in two different layouts. Here we go. I'll flip my camera.
How's your day going so far?
The day's lovely. It's fantastic. There we go. Now we're not in two different layouts. I'm like, we're in two different layouts. That's gonna drive people crazy.
Yeah, maybe. But,
amazing. It's lovely to be with you this morning, Jeff.
Yeah, it's so great to be here with you as well, Jill. So you are the founder of Signature Shifts Coaching, is that correct?
Yes.
So what is Signature Shift Coaching? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So Signature Shifts Coaching, it started, 4 years ago now already, but it pivoted because we all make pivots, right?
Sure.
So it pivoted 2 years ago into really focusing more in high performance, because that was, let's call it high performance, but more intentionality. Let's call it more intentionality rather than kind of a hodgepodge of, I knew I was going to make a shift and change in my own life, because I was sitting in this very office kind of looking out the window going, there's got to be more. There's another way to serve. There's another level than where I was at. And so I had really been having this moment of feeling like kind of stuck, right? This moment of feeling like, well, is there any, we get really used to climbing like this corporate ladder and like feeling like this is like, what's next? Kind of this chasing mentality, right? Like, well, what's next? What's after this?
Absolutely.
And that's really where I was at. And I'm like, well, what's after this? And I'm like, oh, sometimes that chasing ends up being not fulfilling, not what we end up thinking like the mountaintop was going to end up feeling, right? And so after taking a step back, I ended up really having this beautiful coach come into my life. And it was after that, he's like, slow down. That's what's next. Like, in order to speed up, you've got to slow down. And slowing down means being present.
Yeah, that's such wise advice.
Yes, yeah. It was all, the timing of that was so perfect. I wasn't looking for a coach. Isn't that kind of always how it happens? Not always, but it was kind of how it was very serendipitous. It was amazing. I was looking out I was looking out the window and in came my coach. I didn't even know what coaching was at the time. It was like, I knew what it was, but at the same time, it wasn't like, I didn't think it was something that I would end up hiring. And let alone because then it was, this is actually what I want to do. This is how I want to serve. And so then it went down the whole training, the whole, education of, we can make shifts in our life. We can make signature shifts in our life, and how they end up transforming not only us, but our family, and how we can have that be for our teams, how we can lead differently for our teams to imprint. And it takes just a moment to have it be a signature. Like, it takes a moment to just see things differently.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about a signature shift. And I've never heard that term before, so I wonder if you could tell the audience a little bit more about what a signature shift might look like, and sort of what's the effects of that.
Yeah. So I coined the term because we all have unique perspectives, right? We all have our unique fingerprint. We all have a unique signature on how we walk into a room, our perspective, how we bake a cake, right? Like, right? How we pass down different things within the family. So our signature is our life and how we live. And so when we end up really crafting our life and we choose to then go, I'm gonna choose to craft it with a lot more intentional rather than by default, right? That makes a big difference. So rather than showing up today, I used to show up to the office and just be like, all right, what are we doing today? Like, right? Okay, here we go. And then my team at the time would be like, oh no, here she comes. She's ablazing today. Here we go. Because they knew I would be coming in with a lot of energy. And it was a shift. And they'd be like, and they would be going, we need coffee first. Because she's coming in with a lot of energy on a Monday morning. But it was a very intentional shift that I made with the team. I don't need this mic. I'm not talking into that so I can get out of the way. But it was, even then with the kids, right? A lot of us will end up, and I was that parent. that was busy climbing, doing the things with the climbing, and then I would go to the soccer game and I would be like, nope, 50 more emails came in, and I look back at that time and I'm like, oh my land, my kid, when they would look over at me, would just be going, did you see that? Did you see that? And sometimes I did, and other times my head was looking down at the phone. So the signature, whether it's intentional or unintentional, we're making an imprint. Like in all the areas of our life, right? And then owning it. Owning the imprint and the signature that we leave.
It's beautiful.
And when we figure that out, that we can own our when we own our signature, knowing that we can't, things can get taken out of context. Things can end up being all the things, right? Not everything is going to be, whoo, you were awesome and you were on fire every time. But at the same time, when we can be intentional about it and know where our heart lived in that interaction, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I love how you talk about bringing the heart into the workplace.
Yeah.
Right? It's like something that typically we don't talk about in the workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that love and the workplace end up being like this taboo topic. Right? Like, no, that doesn't go here. Right? But I wholeheartedly believe that love belongs in the workplace, not in the romantic sense of love, but love belongs in the workplace, because when you love on your people, they love you back. But love for me ends up also being an acronym, which is listen first, lead with optimism, hold firm to the vision, don't stray to it. Like, it's really hard to be holding firm in a vision when sometimes it can be really easy to make additional funds over here, or you could stray on an easier path, and then leading with empathy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, listening is so important. Right? Listening to actually hearing what someone is saying, allowing them to feel valued by simply being present for them. And like so often we are not present, right? I know from my own understanding, from my own work, we're only present about 53% of the time.
Yeah.
And that's on a good day.
Right.
That's when we're not occupied with all those to-do lists.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that sad? Isn't that a sad thing?
It is.
Yeah.
That thing.
When we all are actually looking for the other person to be present. So learning the skill set to be present when everyone is actually looking for the same thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We are all definitely looking for the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good. So good.
So, what type of clients do you work with in your business?
So I do one-on-one coaching. Typically they are what I mean. It's male and females, but they're typically in leadership or management roles, or are wanting to get into it. Right? They have an aspiration to be in a management role. So yeah, to be. I shouldn't say that. One's a financial planner, but at the same time they're a leader in their community, right? So they're still in a leadership role. The other thing that I will say about that too is everybody has the ability to be a leader because you're a leader of the household. You're a leader in your family. So no matter what, whether or not you wind up wanting to take on that leadership role, you already are in it. It's whether you're choosing to lead well. Because your kids, right? Like your kids are already looking at you as a leader. If you have children, right? Yeah.
I think that's an important perspective to have because we are all already leaders. Mm-hmm. Right? We're leading in ways, and like you said, right, it might be that default way rather than the intentional way.
Right.
And being more intentional about our life, that's what leads to the progress and the success that we all want.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's
ultimately, yes. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're offering this. You're offering yourself in this way to help people because we definitely need, more people who actually are more present and who have more empathy in the business space. So, bringing people like that into management roles where they can then, have that leadership effect on others, I think that's so valuable.
Yeah. So the primary things that we end up focusing on first is clarity and energy and productivity, raising our necessity. And it all starts with us individually so that we can pour out, right? So when we get clear on really how we want to lead and the legacy we want to leave, and looking at it from the perspective of how do you think the other person walked away from that engagement? Rather than, well, this didn't go very well, right? How did the other person walk away from the engagement?
That's definitely a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
And what I think is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you have any, I don't know, a tip or something to offer to our audience?
The biggest tip is you will be miles ahead if when you are having when you're interacting with your team, if you're interacting with your family or even with your friends, because most people will just think about themselves. It's very natural. It's very common. It is the default mode. It just is, right? So you will be miles ahead to be asking yourself those types of questions of how are they feeling when they walk away? What is their perspective of the situation that we are talking about? Like those types of shifts. And what does a win look like for them if I'm having a conflict? So that it's not just about, well, I want to get what I want, right? I'm going to get what I want. It's, what does a win look like for them, right? So that you can come to a middle ground of, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's really useful information for sure. Yeah. I'm just wondering, do you have, like your one-on-one coaching service? Can you give us some more information about that?
Yes. So the link is in my bio here on Facebook. You could schedule a call. I have a 30-minute introductory call where we could determine whether or not we could be moving forward. It's the value of that is $400, like it's actually $399, but it's like almost $400 value based on what you get during that call. Because I give you some additional tools during that call for you to be utilizing after. And my website, jill-adams.com, has some free resources for you. And yeah,
Wonderful.
but more resources are coming out. Newsletter is there. Podcast is coming out soon. Jeff, I'm going to be inviting you to be on as a guest.
Oh,
Because
wow.
that'd be fantastic. Be amazing. So yeah, that's things are coming in the works.
That's awesome.
So-
Yeah, sounds like you got a lot of stuff going on and a lot of good stuff that's going to benefit a lot of people.
Yeah. That's the plan. The plan is just to help people just look at things just a little bit differently, to be shifting perspectives, and in a time in which so many people feel alone, the more they understand other people, and the less isolated we will end up feeling, right? The less, the more they'll know that they're not in the struggle alone.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, we have an epidemic of loneliness right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, any way that we can help people feel that they're supported, I think, is so valuable in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that you're doing that type of work.
Hugely important. So yeah, that's us.
Well, thanks so much for being here with us today, Jill. I'm so happy you were able to, carve some time out and be here and be, share
It's my pleasure.
with our audience.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's a pleasure. Thank
Oh,
you.
You're welcome. All right, well, have a great rest of your day.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Hey, if you want to give me your information, I'll put it in the comments
Okay,
underneath
perfect.
live as well.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
All right,
Have a great rest of your day.
you too.
Thanks.
Bye.